Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Techno. Today I've got a video submitted by depunk, or depunk, one of those. He is driving his M24 Chaffee, and we are on the map Prokhorovka, and it is a standard battle, meaning we want to take the enemy's base up north and or kill all of them. And generally it's that second option. So the M24 Chaffee is a Tier 5 US Scout. Now, as hopefully you know, Scouts get extra bad matchmaking, so depunk finds himself in a very Tier 8 battle. Now, the Chaffee is a very good Scout tank, however, when it's placed up against tanks like Tier 8s, it can be very, very challenging to do well with, which is one reason why I wanted you guys to see this video, because depunk does a very, very good job in his Chaffee, and he does a lot of things that I think people don't know they need to be doing when they're driving a Scout tank. Alright, you can see right off the bat there, he's running the Ridge Scout. That's a very, very good thing to do. There's that kind of line that divides the map between the north and the south, and it's always a good idea if you are a Scout to run that ridge. Remember, you want to keep moving in a Scout. Speed is your only asset, so it's always good to keep moving. Unless you know you have no way of being spotted, but early on like this, you definitely want to keep moving and play very cautiously. Now, depunk does take some damage, you'll notice, early on there. That was actually friendly fire. The friendly Tiger II puts a round into him. Luckily, the Tiger II does not have the, or did not appear to have the fully upgraded gun, otherwise he would have been a lot worse off. He maybe is still using the gun that transferred over from the Tiger I, the top 88 on that. So, off to kind of a rough start here, already at half health. Like I said, only 580 health on a Tier 5 Scout when it can get into Tier 8, Tier 9 games, makes it a very challenging tank to play, as many tanks can actually one-shot you. I do it quite often on my heavy tanks when I see a Chaffee, and I generally try to go for them pretty often because of the fact that I know I can get them out of the game and they play such a important role. Pretty awesome drift right there. Ever since they added the new physics engine, it is possible to drift on tanks. Do want to be careful though, guys. If you drift on your tanks, that sideways force on the tracks does cause track damage, and it can track you. So do be careful if you decide to take fast corners. Luckily on the Chaffee here, he is able to get away with it without any track damage, so that's good. Alright, now, what he's doing here is exactly what you want to be doing with your Scout tanks, guys. You know, a lot of people will do passive scouting. They'll sit in a bush and kind of see what they can see. This is a more active scouting, and this is really the type of scouting you'll see in higher tier battles. This is the type of scouting that people who have been scouting and know how to play a Scout will do. It's much more effective. You're constantly moving between different locations. You're getting more and more Scouts in because you're covering a wider range of the map, and so this is exactly how you want to play your Scout tanks. Now you'll notice with depunk also, whenever he stops to take a shot, there is always at least some sort of cover between him and the person he's shooting at. Remember, with a Scout tank, you can move a Scout tank and not lose any camo value. So it is never a bad idea, once you see an enemy vehicle and you know you haven't been seen, which you'll know that if you have Sixth Sense, to try to get shots in after you have made it to cover. Don't immediately fire, because if you're out in the open and you immediately fire, you lose a lot of your camo rating. But since you're a Scout tank, you can move into cover relatively easily without getting seen and then fire. And that's one of the tricks about playing a Scout. Alright, and you can see here, depunk is just going back and forth over this hill. He's using this little bit of hill and damaged tank here to try to put a few rounds in. And that is another thing that really you want to do with the Scout tank, is you're not meant to take a tank from full health to nothing, right? The Scout tanks are kind of a harasser. They're meant to kind of put a few rounds in. He's only got, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe he's only got a 75mm on a Tier 5 and a Tier 8 game, but he makes it work by getting flanking shots in, taking the easy shots when he has them, and then getting out of there. If you try to stick around and you try to put more than a couple rounds into people, that's when you're going to get killed as a Scout. And that's really what you guys need to learn when you're playing a Scout, is it's all about getting vision for your team. It's about basically being annoying as long as possible. You'll notice he didn't suicide scout right at the beginning, right? He's still in the game. And as the game progresses, scout tanks become more and more and more important. One thing he did just now there is he lit up that side flank, but then he disengaged. That's another important thing. Even though Artie tracked him there and he's now at 140 health, he pulled back out. And for the enemy, the last time they saw him, he was probably heading south over on the 9 line there. So he disengaged, he lost vision, the enemy doesn't know where he's at, and now he's going to pop up in a completely different area. And what that does is it allows him to flank unexpected enemies. And right there, that is a tier 8 heavy tank that he just killed with a tier 5 tank. So that's a 3-tier advantage. And this goes to show you guys, that was standard ammo. He does have premium ammo with him. He's got 20 rounds, but he has not used it yet. He knows that if he can get on the sides, get on the rear of these tanks and put rounds in, that he can do fine. And really, you know, that's what you want to do. And alright guys, here's a really good example. He spots the Chaffee, right? But he does not fire because he was up on that hill. He moves into cover, and now he's going to fire because he hasn't been spotted. And he didn't fire until he came back behind the cover. So that's what I'm talking about when I was just saying that you want to use the ability of a scout tank to move and not lose camo rating, so that you can get into cover, fire from within cover. Same thing here. These guys, they might see him in a second. Yeah, there you go. But for the most part there, for the first few rounds he fired, he was invisible still as well. And he's just using this cover. You can see him playing around in these bushes, trying to keep these trees between him and the enemy. He's got 2 kills now. Racked up his 2nd kill, the PZSFL-5. That's, I believe, tier 7. So that's a 2-tier tank above him. He also killed the Hellcat, I think, which is tier 6. That's a 1-tier advantage. Anytime you're killing tier tanks that are higher than your tier, you also get an XP and credit bonus for the damage you do against them, so keep that in mind. One thing about a scout is it's easy to get some, no, it's not easy, but when you do damage in a match, it counts for much more than, say, the guys that are tier 8 shooting you. So he's poking the hill as an American tank. He does have good gun depression, so he can poke the hill here. The Chaffee is a new Japanese medium tank, and it does have a 3-round autoloader, so he needed to be careful about trying to exchange shots there. Especially at 140 health, he probably could have been one-shot by that guy. But his teammate makes the kill. They're both up to 3 kills now, so they've secured a Brother in Arms medal. And he's going to flank around and expose the guys over here on this flank. And he does it. And you can see, initially, he doesn't set himself up to crest that ridge, right? You could see him kind of making a circle. He had originally planned on making a circle to come back down off this hill, but he saw the 5100. He puts a few rounds into there, sets him on fire. Had a bit of lag there. Sorry about that, guys. Now he spots an SU-100. This is actually his view. He's not zooming in. He's just, it looks like just kind of free firing at it, which I am assuming is so he doesn't have to spend too much time aiming to try to get the shot on. But, you know, it's working for him. 103 damage. Now he's actually fired all of the rounds he brought with him this match that were non-premium, so by default he's had to now switch to premium rounds. Up to 4 kills. He did land the kill on the SU-100. 1 enemy left. It's a Yak Panzer II. Sorry, Yak Panther II. Tier 8 tank destroyer. It's a very good tank destroyer. Same weapons as the Ferdinand, it's just more mobile. And let's see if we can get the kill before anyone else does. Sorry guys, looks like my game the replay kind of goofed up here. He actually does swing around and get the kill on the Yak Panzer II as well. When I was recording, that was visible, but it looks like the recording software goofed up and didn't really show you that. But yeah, he does get the kill there. Swings around behind the Yak Panzer II. He's on pretty low health, and he plants around into him, securing his 5th kill. And let's go take a look at the stats. So a fantastic victory, right? He secures patrol duty. Orlik's medal, which is a very rare medal. It's awarded for destroying 3 or more enemy tanks or tank destroyers with a light tank. All the targets need to be at least 2 tiers above you. So it's a very good medal to get. Brothers in Arms, and his Ace Tank Mastery Badge. He secured 120,000 credits. Not sure if there was an event going on, but that is a ton of cash. And 6,078 XP, which is doubled for the first game, but still an amazing amount of XP. Base XP of 1842. I think that's about the highest I've ever seen. 5 kills, 2291 damage in a tier 5 light tank. 43 rounds fired, 26 rounds hit, 22 pins, 2291 damage. He was only hit one time by an enemy vehicle. Half his health was taken away by the Tiger II friendly shot at the beginning, and it was only a splash damage from the artillery, which tracked him early, about midway through the game. He traveled close to 4.5 kilometers, and all in all had a great game, secured 97,000 credits. So guys, I hope that's shown you some of the tips and tricks for scouting. It's not all about camping in a bush, and it's definitely not about facing enemies from the front. You want to use your mobility, you want to use your higher camo value while moving, and your speed to get around people, to spot people, and really that's what it's all about. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will catch you next time. Oh, before we go, I did want to let you know I will be away for a couple weeks here coming up, so I won't be making any videos during that time. But as soon as I get back in town, I will start making some more videos again. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.